Hindi ko makakalimutan yung pinakain mong burger sa amin sa China kasi sawang-sawa na kami dun sa pagkain sa hotel.
Ubus ang pera ko nun.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Facebook Live. This is 2OT and we are very happy to be joined by a legend, Dr. J. Andy. How, Doc? Thank you for
How are
joining me
you?
here on 2OT.
Yeah, very nice to see your faces. Hindi nagbabago. Pareho pang magaganda lalaki mga kasama natin.
Kaya ka namin miss Doc eh.
Isang malaking karangalan sa amin, Doc, na makasama ka dito sa
Good.
2OT. Finally, nakasama din natin si Doc eh. And Doc, right off the bat, bago tayo magkwentuhan, yung matagal na namin pinagtatalunan ni Carlo, we need it on record, Doc. Kung sino ba talaga sa aming dalawang number one atabs mo?
That's hard to tell. You know, I've always wanted to say this, partner, to both of you. I worked with the best from the past, as well as just a couple of years, and I'm still working with some of the best, and maybe some of the future.
So, Tay.
So basta Doc top 2 na.
I mean,
basta Doc
I love all
top 2
the-
na kami, si Richard Del Rosario number 3.
Kamusta kayo dyan? Are you okay?
Yep, we're all good, Doc. We're very happy to see you, and we're happy that you're also healthy.
Thank you.
Not going out. Doc, you've been involved with the PBA for so long. You've seen the league go through so many changes in the past, but this situation we have not yet seen something similar to it. How do you see the future of the PBA after we get over this pandemic, Doc?
Well, I think even if you talk about life, it might be a while before we can get adjusted to all the things that are nangyari sa atin, no? If you notice right now, I love to watch sports, not only basketball, other sports that are on TV. And alam mo naman yung sa Signal, maraming palabas dyan. May mga golf, baseball, and so on and so forth. So there's so many things that I miss, and I think everybody is missing that. But hopefully we will be able to get through this with to the mercy of the Lord, especially itong coming Holy Week natin. And I think it will take some time because ang hirap dito ang adjustment for everybody, for the viewers, as well as the players, the management. Everybody's going to have a hard time here, no? But we'll get through. Have you heard anything
Doc, ano
about
kaya
that?
magiging itsura when we come out of this on the other side of this?
You know, I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask you. Baka you guys have heard something about yung meeting yata ng PBA earlier today, no? Parang ganito rin yung meeting nila.
May suggestion yata si
Chairman.
Suggestions na to cut it down to 2 conferences. Kay Joseldo yata, kay Boss Joseldo nang galing. And I think, hindi ko pa alam kung ano yung results ng meetings. Parang nabalitaan ko lang, Doc, yung mga suggestions.
Remember, I told you maybe about 2 weeks back that I think we'll only have 2 conferences, di ba? But in my mind, I was thinking, if we all make a target of about June, or maybe late May, kasi hindi ka rin pwedeng maglaro kaagad na hindi kayo nakakapag-ensayo and to get everybody back in shape.
Yeah.
That takes time. That's really difficult. But if you make it 2 conferences, syempre yung Filipino conference natin, usually double the round robin yan. No? So that means 22 games na sa elimination round yan. But if we make the second conference, maybe close to being a double round robin also, 2 conferences lang, it will satisfy everybody's needs, no? Tsaka yung pinaghirapan ng mga management as well, the teams as well as all the players. Plus in the long run, that will be cheaper also because you don't have to pay an extra import. Tsaka wala kang break eh. Yung, alam mo yun, usually yung break between the first and the second, tapos yung second and the third, that's usually about 3 weeks to a month eh. So that's also expenses eh, di ba? But ito, tuloy-tuloy ka na, there's that possibility. Like I was telling you, wala lang Grand Slam yan,
Yeah.
dalawang conferences. But still, a champion is a champion. You know?
I remember the last time we did that, Doc, or when the PBA did that, ABC days pa yun eh. Ang ginawa, Doc, parang nag-draw lots and then 2 groups and then you play a certain group twice and the others twice. 10 pa lang team nun, so 14 games yung elims.
Pwede rin yan mangyari sa atin. And actually, when they, at that time when they started doing that, i-grenade yan eh. For example, after the All-Filipino, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yung odd numbers magkakasama yon, yung even numbers magkakasama yon. Tapos 1.5. Double on your 2 games on your own group and 1 on the opposite group. So that'll be 7. That'll be 6, 6. So that'll be a total of 16 games. Double dito, 5, bali 5 times 2, 10. Tapos 6 doon sa kabila, 16 games in the elimination round. That's possible. That's really up to them.
Yeah. But more and more, Doc, we're sensing that the 2-conference solution might be what's in store for us, at least for this particular season in the PBA.
Yeah, let's just hope that, you know, parang may downtrend yung ating itong nangyayari sa atin. And that maybe meron tayong another shutdown until the end of April. Then maybe hopefully we can start getting back to a little bit of normalcy by May. Then maybe we can start at the last week of May or early June. But then you can probably play, if need be, you can play Monday, Tuesday, ano ba tayo? Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Diba? 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have a lot more games available, no?
Before we continue, Magu, we'd just like to say hi to all of the viewers right now. Si JR, Edward Espera, Anjo Gomez, yung kaibigan natin from Melbourne. Si Michael Gomez also watching. Jesse Lee, Raul Maningat. Sir Raul, how are you? Eric Janching, Eric Urbistondo, Brian Elmaga, Marvin Deray, and yung bata ni Dr. J, si Kuya Jojo Singcolyagas is also watching us right now. Doc, may nagpapatanong po dito, saan daw galing yung moniker nyo na Dr. J? Sino ba yung nagbigay niyan? I heard there was a really interesting story behind it.
Well, first of all, apelido ko starts with a J, right? So J is appropriate for me. Si Joe Cantada nagbigay sa akin yan. I think in the early part of our coverage we started in 1982. And there was a time na dalawa lang kaming analyst eh. Tapos yung kasamahan ko si Steve Catal, minsan nagpupunta pa ng New York, nawawala yun. So I had to go to 2 conferences 2 times a day. Halos lahat ng games akin. But then I also did a lot of tutorials on TV, no? During the halftime of games, I was drawing plays, yung gano'n, making people understand the game. Siguro yung mga iba dyan, hindi na inabot yan. But eventually, called me Dr. J, and I really loved it because medyo one of my idols also in playing was, of course, the original one, Julius Erving. And, you know, it latched on, and many of the newspaper editors, writers at the time who later became editors of almost all of our broadsheets, they continued to give me that name. So, you know, I really enjoyed it anyway.
For the benefit of the younger people watching us right now, baka hindi nalalaman, Doc, na almost every high position imaginable in basketball inahawakan ni Dr. J. From management to consultancy to commissionerships ng iba't ibang liga, Doc. Anong mas pinaka naging fulfilling sa'yo hanggang sa, of course, being a legendary analyst?
Well, I think the thing that I've always loved was to be able to, you know, communicate to the public yung kung anong natutunan ko over the years. And I have to really give credit to a lot of the older coaches as well as, you know, a lot of the older management, you know, the teams in general. Commissioner Leo Prieto, he was a real nice person, always was one of my big guides. The late Rudy Salud was a guy that I talk a lot with. He helped me a lot, and he also took my advice a lot. When he was the commissioner of the PBA. So I think that yung being able to talk to the public, try to communicate what I know, that was really fulfilling. Commissionerships in different, like UAP and NCA, and also the PBL. Actually, I was the first commissioner there, no, when it started in 1989, when I changed the name. It was also a very nice 2 seasons for me. So all of these, including being members with the team, I think more than anything else, it's because of the relationship that I had with the public. Sometimes I'm a little bit tough, when I had that position of authority. But because I always believe that what was important was to come up with the right thing.
And this is a career spanning mga 40 years na, Doc. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I started kasi in 1977 in the PBA. So you can just imagine how long. Medyo bata pa tayo noon, Pantera. And I was the assistant
43
coach. Yeah, I was the assistant coach of UTEX, Universal Textile Wranglers, one of the original team with my friend and Classico and everything. One of my best friends, even up to today, si Tommy Manatok, no? Who also was a deputy commissioner of the PBA. And we did win championships in 78 and 80, once against Crispa. And we were the first team outside of Crispa and Toyota to win a championship outside of the two. And then in 1980, we were able to do it against Toyota. So it was really very fulfilling.
Doc,
Pero matagal na.
we've asked this question to some of our guests as well. Sila Kiefer, si Polly, tsaka si Bo Belga sumagot. Tapos may nagtanong din kanina eh. You've witnessed so many legendary players in the PBA.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to form your all-time starting five, sino yung members na ilalagay nyo dun sa starting five na yun, Doc?
That's not a very easy question. So I'd like to, since you put it and it's spontaneous, hindi natin pinag-usapan ito.
Yes, po.
So I'd like to divide it to the early years from the 75 up to the 90. And I probably will go with, I thought that in the early 70s up to the, late 80s, I think the best point guard would be Sonny.
Yeah.
Jaworski, simply although he missed a couple of years because of injury, simply because he was a great leader. He's a terrific passer.
Yeah.
And he was about 6'1", which is not too many point guards at that time. Even up to today are of that height. He was a great rebounder, good scorer. He's not a great shooter, but he can make shots when it needed be. And I think my shooting guard would be Atoy Ko. I don't think there is a shooting guard close to him, because I will tell you why later on if you think I miss somebody, because I'll put him in the second group, the ones from the 90s up to the present. Then I think my center would be, of course, Ramon Fernandez.
Yeah.
And at that time, maybe the power forward would be Philip Cesar.
Yeah.
In a very close match with Abe King. But I think Philip, for longevity and continuous stability, as well as ang kanyang steadiness sa laro. My small forward will be William Adornado with Freddie Hubalde just close behind. I mean, William is also a 3-time MVP.
Yep.
And if he had get injured in 1977-78, I think he would have been the first 4-time MVP in a row, consecutive. So that's my first group. Then I go to the latter part, the next group from the 90s up to the present. I would think Johnny Abarientos is the best point guard from the 90s onward. And then Alan Caide could be my shooting guard. And then Alvin Patrimonio would be the best power forward. And Judmar Fajardo would be the center. Ang naging problema ko is who is my small forward. Really, that one is very, very difficult for me. So sometimes I might do it in a way like I would think si Jeff Carriazo and Alan Caide can intertwine as parang swing guards, It can be two swing men, 2 and 3. But I thought Jeff was also good. And you guys were not with me yet at that time. But when he was drafted in, I think I don't remember if it was 1994 yata si Jeff or something like that, 95, whatever. I was asked at that time of the draft who I thought was going to be a sure good player for the PBA, and I said Jeffrey Cariaso. Although he was only number, I'm not sure if it's 4, 5, or 6, but I said he is a sure thing because I watched him in the amateurs before he moved up to he went for the draft, and I was all very the other guy that I thought was it could be Jeff, but maybe I can also go with Joe Lastimosa na lang para make it ano, no? Because he really is a natural. He can be a small forward. But I give it to Alan Kaidik as one of the best swingman of the league.
Of course, Doc, because of your years of experience, we're more than happy to give you two first fives of all time. I mean, the first one,
Yeah.
Jaworski, Philip Cesar, Atoy
Atoy
Ko,
ko, Ramon
Ramon
Fernandez.
Fernandez, and Bogs Adornado. I don't think there is any discussion about the caliber of those five.
Actually, all of them are MVPs, with Ramon being a four-time MVP. Atoy won it once. William won it three
Right.
times. Sunny won it once. Philip also won once. No? So they're all MVPs of the league.
Magu, you have a question for Doc?
While we're on the topic of discussing yung greatness ng mga players, to this day, pinapatanong ni Anthony Gerard Panaglima, yap or kagiwa?
As what? As a player?
Yes, Doc.
It's hard because alam mo,
Sino sa'yo ang mas angat, yap or kagiwa, Doc?
ang advantage of course ni James is a real good shooter and long distance, no. Plus the fact that he's taller, and I think James is a very decent rebounder. He's close to about 6'2.5", 6". I think James has also come up with the best shots. It's really hard to compare the two because I love both of them, especially itong si Mark. Up to now, he's so very respectful of me, and I am very grateful for the way he has treated me all these years. So, he's not exactly what I would say my favorite player, but I love him as a person. I think both of them are also very good to the fans, which is so important for the league itself as well as for the teams they played with. At saka para sa kanilang own personality with the way they associate with the public. So they're close. They're close. I would think that because James has won more MVPs, definitely, no? And James has been a regular during his time. James was just also unstoppable. I mean, you can't guard him. You'll foul him, you'll score. Mark is the same way, but Mark is a pretty good rebounder for a person his size. Up to now, he still does that. Even though he may not get as much playing time, but if you look at maybe his overall record at the end, he'll probably end very well up with a good scoring average as well as a rebounding average. I think
Doc,
Mark is a better defender than James. That's what I think.
Doc, moving on now to a different topic. Now, Junmar Fajardo just won, his just added to his record of PBA MVPs. We've seen big men suffer really bad injuries throughout the history of the PBA. How hopeful are you that he will be able to go back to his usual dominant self upon his return?
I've always said that sometimes, alam mo, injuries come to athletes. So. And like in this case, if reports are to be true, na-aksidente siya when he was all alone. And actually, there was nobody defending him. In practice yata yun, he was on a getaway. Diba? So, but I always have this thing for players that get injured. Remember, when you stop for a while, maybe it's because the body, as he says, needs a break. Kung sa sarili niyang puso, hindi siya hihinto. Di ba? Gusto niyang tuloy ang laro. To continue to be on a very high level. But if you remember, si Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali to stop because remember he was stripped He refused.
He
Yeah,
went to
nakulong
jail.
siya
Yeah.
because he
Arrested.
refused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaya humaba ang kanyang karir. Di ba? Humaba siya. Napahinga siya na ilang taon eh. I think the same you can say about the Big J. Huminto yan parang 2 years eh. In 1981, 80 na huminto rin yan eh. Pero he played until he was over 50. Nakalaban ko pa nga yan. I will never forget this. Eh. Nag-double overtime kami. He played every minute of the game. Not the overtimes, the whole game. He played and they won. It was in the finals. He remembers that. He remembers. I think that sometimes, ito parang sinasabi kay Junmar, pahinga ka muna, kailangan mo ng katawan mo yan. And you will come back. Now, because of his heart and his determination, I think he can come back. And obviously, even Paul George, di ba yung nakita natin yung bagsak ni Paul George, sabi natin, finish na yun eh, di ba? Wala na yun eh. How could he come back? But, he's come back to a level that probably is as good as he was before. There was also a guy, si Terry Saldana, kung nakakita mo yung injury niya, in the 80s. Akala mo hindi na makakabalik yun, but he was able to come back and play at a very high level. So, I think it's more on the determination of the person. And wag lang niya apurahin, which in this case, alam ko hindi apurahin ni John Marit.
Carlo, I think isa sa pinaka bilib talagang Filipino basketball fans na trait ni Dr. J. He can talk about a guy from the early years of the PBA to the modern day of the PBA na pareho yung description, analysis, kung paano. Kaya may tanong dito si Blake Custodio. How do you keep your memory so sharp, Dr. J?
Well, it's not really...
Sakto yung tanong.
Meron kaming kaklase nung araw ng custodio sa Lasal. May-ari ng Brown Derby yun, yung hotdog. Hindi niya rin inabot yung masarap yung hotdog na yan. But they're good people.
Pinausukan yung memory. Pinakita
but my memory is not that good anymore. Whereas there are times, you have that point wherein it's not easy for me to recall a name or number just as I could immediately do it in the past. No? And sometimes that's why I'm very grateful to having you guys there. You, ikaw, si Charlie, Magu, ikaw, si Carlo. Because your memories, you bail me out. And then once you refresh my memory, ayun na naman, babalik na naman sa akin yan. But one thing I've always been good in doing is I try to watch as many games as I can. And it's almost all.
Yeah.
Unless there's a special thing, nasa bahay ako, nanonood ako ng game. Even though wala akong trabaho. Kaya nga yung mali ninyo, Magu, alam ko rin yan. Pag nagkakamali ka, alam ko rin yan. Pag nagkakamali ka. No, so I know that. But syempre, I keep it to myself. But whatever it is, it's important for you to continue, for you to be good in, I think good in sa aming profession. You cannot talk about something that you do not see. Especially the game.
Yeah.
Paano mo ikukwento yung bagay na hindi mo napakinggan, napanood? Kung napakinggan mo, syempre you're relying on, let's say on the radio, you're relying only on the guy. But we had great radio announcers in the past, no, that could really describe it and make it look as if you were in a game. So it's important for you. If you want to be good in our profession, you have to really, and up to now, I talk to coaches because alam natin they have their own perspectives na nakakatulong sa akin.
Doc, mabalik lang po ako dun sa possibility of a two-conference format. Of course, we'll have to play the All-Filipino Cup. Hindi non-negotiable yung Philippine Cup.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the import conference, syempre, some of the San Miguel Beer fans would say na, dapat yung height limit 6'10" para makabalik si Chris Macolo, or TNT fans may say na dapat 6'10" para makabalik si Terrence Jones. Ginebra would prefer na yung Governor's Cup limit in terms of height yung masunod. Where do you see this happening, Doc? Is there a nice middle ground that everyone can agree with in terms of what imports, or does it make sense to actually have two imports in the second conference?
No, masyado nang mahal ngayon yan. Unlike what we had before. I will remember in 1986, we were only 6 teams. And I again thank Fred Oy, thanks so for that because he joined us at that time. I was with the team at that time also. No? And 1986 yun, when Alaska came in. So wala siya, we might not have continued. Baka wala na tayong PBA ngayon. We would have a different name that would have come up probably at another time. And we had 2 imports at the time. And that was the best group I ever saw in my life. Yung 12 na yun, there was only one team I think that changed. Actually, it was Tanduay who changed. Isang beses sila nagpalit ng isang player nila. So that was the best group. Norman was a import, I think, for Great East, together with Donny Raycus, who used to play for Toyota, and they were very, very good also. So we had great. I had my very good friend Young with me and Harold Killick, Michael Hackett, and Billy Ray Bates who won the championship. So magaling talaga yun. But it's too expensive nowadays. If I tell you how much I paid those guys that were really good players at the time, baka magulat ka compared to what they pay today. Even so I think it's too expensive now. You can't afford that. And I mean, it's not practical kumbaga sa ano. But to come to a level na ano, mahirap naman sabihin sa mga team 6'7", 6'8". Pero yun yung Ginebra, kahit 6'10", kahit 6'7", kahit 6'5", si Brownlee pa rin nagagamitin nila because he's already proven. Nag-champion rin yan against a bigger import. Ang problema nila if they don't have Slaughter, because that adds to their height. No? That's the reason why they can afford to get a guy like small forward or even a shooting guard because they already have 2 big men. The same with San Miguel. They would have a problem without Junmar. Remember when they won this, they had Junmar and they had Stan Hardinger together with Makolo. Now they don't have Stan Hardinger, they don't have Junmar. Of course, Mo is also a very nice person who's going to be a very big player for them. But it's different when you have a 6'10" who's how many time MVP? So I think if we say maybe 6'7", 6'7.5", may problema rin tayo dyan, partner, because all of the leagues stop also. You're talking about Japan and Korea. And I know a lot of the coaches look at the players from Japan, Korea, and China.
Yeah.
So we don't know if when we start at the time, will they be also starting? Baka babalik na naman sila dun where obviously they get more money because they play a longer period of time. First of all, they get paid a little bit higher. Plus, they play about a period of 4, 5, 6 months. So there's more income for them, especially if you're traveling already overseas na wala ka ng dream sa NBA or you might want to forgo your dreams there first. You want to be able to make as much as you can for your family. So what is available to us? Now, the problem with 6'10" is not easy to get during that time. Marami kang kalaban if the leagues are going all over the world, including Europe. So you might have to settle for something a little bit smaller.
From talking about import, shift tayo sa local. Sa question na ito ni Edward Espera, Dr. J, do you think we will have another PBA player who can play like Danny Siegel?
Oh, yeah. I think the talent that we have had coming up, especially with our local leagues. I mean, naging malaki na sa atin talaga yung game. And remember, mga 6'3", 6'4" nowadays are like guards na lang . Whereas in our time, that would be center na sobra palaki mo. No? So, I think that will happen. The only problem, ang advantage lang...
Danny S... would you agree that Danny Siegel changed the 6'7" forever? Dahil dati 6'7", malaki na ngayon. Pang-tres na lang ang 6'7", di ba?
Yeah, Danny S was parang ibang klaseng... You don't like to use the word, but you use it in a nice term, quote-unquote, animal. Ibang klaseng for the kind of game we play. And, he's 6'7". And a 6'7", that's like a small forward, shoot from the outside, know how to post up, play on the inside, good rebounder, everything. He's got a good touch and everything. Got a heart, everything. So it's really difficult to find. But marami ako nakikita local players, even in the collegiate ranks. We're beginning to see a lot of guys that are 6'3", 6'4" that can really play. We're going to know their names in the future. And I think that but we have evolved into another one. We have evolved to another kind right now. The league is going to be very tough. Actually, it's very hard to become a professional player here in the PBA.
Doc, another question from our viewers, this time from Wilson Manangan. Top 3 candidates for MVP now that Junmar most likely will not play this season in the PBA?
Well, I think Christian Stanhardinger will have a big advantage if he continues to play for Northport. First of all, because of the minutes he gets, ah, he will score probably about 20 a game as an average. He will rebound in double figures. He's not a bad passer when he wants to pass.
Yeah.
So the only problem with him is the bonus points that you get from winning. The team has to be winning. So that's always a big advantage. I think Stanley will also have a big chance at this, you know. And then because of the improved lineup of TNT, I think we have to look at Jason Castro. I mean, that boy is really deserving to become an MVP. Ang problema lang niya, inabot siya sa panahon ni Jun Marvaldo.
Yeah. He has to date the most BPCs or Best Player of the Conference awards without a single MVP.
Inabot lang siya ng panahon ni Junmar, no? Tapos before that was also Arwin who had one. I think even LA also had a great chance, pero but LA doesn't have as many more minutes, as much. Well, he still plays a lot of minutes, but he's more of a type of a player who is unselfish without looking at the awards. If it's there, it's there, di ba? Yun na lang sa kanya. Jojo, kamusta ka? Since you mentioned him, naalala ko tuloy si Jojo. Di ba kasama natin yan na partner Carlo?
Oo, Doc. Hindi ko makakalimutan yung pinakain mong burger sa amin sa China kasi sabang-sama na kami dun sa pagkain sa hotel.
Ubus ang pera ko nun. Pero birthday ko naman the day before. At nanalo tayo sa Iran, kaya masaya-masaya ako.
Birthday libre. Doc, before we let you go, just, a message for the PBA fans. Lahat tayong nagtatrabaho sa PBA, we miss, seeing each other. I'm sure the fans miss it as well. Any message for the people out there while we're all still, helping out as much as we can during this lockdown?
Well, before I greet those people, I would like to greet those girls that you had on the air yesterday.
Yeah.
I listened for a while. Yeah, and they seem to have a very good time, yung ating mga courtside reporters, si Apple, si Carla, si Denise. Wala lang si Selena, no? Maybe preparing for something important of her future.
Uy.
And then, of course, I miss all of sila Seb, lahat kayo and everything. So, Charlie, si Chuck, and all the Dominic, hindi ko rin nakikita, no? Hindi ko narinig. Kinito nakikita ko, nagpo-post ng litrato, mahaba ng balbas, di ba? So, whatever.
Yung Dominic, Doc, okay lang yun. Hindi mo nakikita si Dom. Okay lang.
Tsaka yung ating kasama, si Ryan.
Ay, birthday.
Okay. Masama yun. Hindi na naman tayo napakain ni Ryan. Napas lang naman tayo. Pero, nandyan yan. But more than anything is, I hope that all of you take care. Do your best. We miss the fans as much. When we go inside the game, kung ang players na motivate, kami rin siguro, the same thing. I especially itong dalawang kausap ko, when they prepare, they're never late. Ako early na ako. I've never been late in my life. I'm very thankful to the Lord for that. No, I've worked how many years on television. I've never been late for a game. And I see these two maybe an hour and a half kasi maaga rin ako pumupunta. Hindi na bali ako nag-aantay doon kaysa sa madisgrasya ka pa, malate ka, ma-traffic ka. It's never an excuse. But you can see that when people work this hard, we all miss you. And sana as soon as possible, makabalik kami. I'd like to wish all the players well as their families, all of our team owners, yung ating mga coaches, nandiyan lang yan. We're in the week of Easter, and hopefully on Easter Sunday, God will be with all of us again. And thankfully He will help us through this crisis, and we will come back a little bit stronger. And kay Commissioner Willie also, good luck. You're entering third, fourth year of his 3 years na ba si Com? 3 years na, no? So, good luck to you, and hopefully you can still continue to guide this. At saka be healthy. Huwag ka masyadong kumakain ng marami.
Doc, on that note, we thank you so much for joining us on 2OT. Sana maulit muli, Doc.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Then we'll find some things to talk about, maybe past games, past histories, things like that,
Merong
do it
mga
again.
naiwan yung tanong na ganyan eh. Babangko natin yan for next time.
Ngayon, magpapaalam na muna kami. Maraming salamat po once again for joining us. This is another live episode of 2OT. See you again next time.